Welcome to the Salt Circle Podcast. My name is Hank. With me, as always, is Ben.
I didn't even know we were doing a podcast.
Fucking asking me if I want to play HOTS.
I mean, I got a lot of stuff on my mind. Lots of irons in the fire.
Speaking of video games.
Oh. Oh. Yeah. 10 out of 10 segue. You did it.
I mean, it's better because I let it just sit there.
Yeah. Let it marinate a little.
Yeah.
Let the dead air speak for itself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're
It's
talking.
It's the most important part.
We're talking about video games.
Yeah. Specifically, we're going to be doing a series on stuff that influenced us for like different forms of media, but we're going to start with video games.
Yeah.
So that will be the topic for this week.
I mean, where do we want to pick up? Where do we want to step into this?
I mean, this topic was you came up with it, so I'll give you the.
Okay.
You
well,
can start.
I guess as a general concept, like there is little to no time in my life that I haven't been into video games. Like the earliest I can remember is when I was in daycare and there was like the daycare lady's son had a Nintendo 64 and it only got worse from there. Like got a Game Boy when I was 5, Game Boy Color I should say, and yeah, that was like the first video game that I actually owned. Like I didn't have to go to daycare to play it. That was nice. It's always been there.
Fucking motorcycle just turned on like outside my window. That was cool.
Nice. Yeah. This is a cool podcast. We have motorcycle sounds. So yeah, I guess that's my not even a backstory, but just like there was never a time when video games weren't a thing.
Yeah, that's kind of the same for me. I don't even remember getting my first Game Boy.
Yeah.
Really? I probably remember stuff before that, but yeah, my first video game thing was the original Game Boy. I had Super Mario Land 2 for it, which I will definitely spend some time talking about. But yeah, that was the thing because my parents got me a Game Boy because they thought I would play it less if it wasn't. Somehow in their head, if they bought me a system, it would be more of a commitment than this Game Boy, and they were wrong about that. That was a mistake on their part that they made.
You mean you got me the thing that I can play anywhere? Okay.
Yeah. So,
yep,
did a lot of that, and I lost that Game Boy at some point, and I was sad.
As you do.
They got me. Got another one. I got the clear one then with the clear plastic.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty good. Pretty good.
I mean, so I don't know. I don't want to say it influenced me a ton. Like, I don't hold some lasting impression of it that affects me to this day. But my first game was 007 GoldenEye for Nintendo 64. That's the first one I remember. And I remember playing it. And it was a good time, and yeah, I don't know. It's not like I've grown up like, man, shooters are the best. 007 GoldenEye was the best. They peaked, and it's the best genre. Like it's a good game. I mean, minus the terrible controls going back.
Yeah, it hasn't aged the best.
I have tried to play it for the nostalgia. It's better in my head. It's much better just staying in my mind.
Yeah, at some point, like it took a while, but at some point my brain got reconfigured for controlling the camera with the right stick. And once you get that part in your
Oh,
brain
yeah.
trained,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really hard to go back to GoldenEye.
Yep. No, it's... Yeah. It's fucking...
It's rough.
Mm-hmm.
And it has the aesthetic issues a lot of N64 games. But you could hide in the vents in that one multiplayer level, and that was the best.
Yeah. No,
Just
there was
hiding.
there was a lot of good stuff with it.
Good fun times with friends when you would play multiplayer games with people and not with the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a daycare staple. Why we were allowed to play 007 GoldenEye as a 4-year-old, I don't know. 5-year-old, whatever I
doesn't-
was. But there you go. And when
I mean, it could have been worse. They could have been giving you something like really that would really damage you, like Mario Party.
yeah, you know, something that would just destroy any social skills I had.
Yeah, or physically destroy you too. Original Mario Party.
Physically destroy me.
Yeah.
Just thought of another game to put
Yeah.
down.
So for me, Super Mario Land 2, it didn't.
Is
So this
that,
is mostly
Question
in
first.
retrospect. Yeah, sure.
Is that 6 golden coins?
Yes, that is
Okay,
six gold.
okay,
Super
that
Mario
I-
Land 2, the 6 golden coins.
I know
where
that
Wario
game
is
fairly well. Yeah.
the final boss, and he is that is the first game that Wario is in. So I think I'd definitely seen like original Super Mario Brothers before, but like this is the one I owned, so this is like the Mario game for me, kind of. Even though like at this point, I think Super Mario Brothers 3 is my favorite because
Sure.
6 Golden Coins doesn't play so like it is frame rate issues
Yeah.
mostly, well, just because of it's pushing the platform too hard. Like if you look at
Too intense.
well, if you look at original Mario Land, which is much more basic, like that's like 8 pixels on Mario or something compared to like full Super Mario World style drawing of Mario in 2. Again, that came out after Super Mario World. It's like
Yeah.
a much later game, but the original Mario Land is built for the Game Boy, so there aren't like things that system couldn't handle, it wouldn't do. That's why when you stomp on a turtle in that game, it just becomes a bomb that explodes and it doesn't become a shell that moves across the screen.
Yeah.
Whereas 6 Golden Coins is like, nah, fuck it. We're gonna have a shell that's gonna roll across the screen and it's gonna like lag the whole game.
We did it on Super
Fine.
NES. We could do it here. Fuck it.
It's just yeah.
I stole
There's
that
just,
game
there's just
literally as a child. Like
fucking criminal.
Before that, like sense of morals is like instilled in you. Like I 100% stole that game from another kid on the bus. He lent it to me. I convinced him that my dog ate it,
Wow.
and then I had that game. I forget
You're a
if I
monster.
ever gave it back to him or like what happened. He wasn't upset about it, like too upset about it. He's one of those
didn't see
posers that
the
doesn't love video games.
Eternal. Oh, so you gave it a better home? Is what you're saying?
I mean,
You're the
probably.
fucking Robin Hood of video game theft.
Yeah, I steal from the
Steal
hicks
from
and
the
give to the nerds.
weak and give to yourself. Superior being.
I mean, as history
Yeah.
would show, yes. Not saying I turned out better, but I did.
Oh, okay.
Look, Central
You must be a
Wisconsin,
real-
man. Like, you throw a stone and like.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, the thing that Wario is just a great character, and that's the first game he's in. He's super good. But the thing that's like really got in my head about Super Mario Land 2 didn't come until retrospect when I realized what the story of that game is.
You wanna refresh those who might not know.
So it's a Mario game where it's a direct sequel, like it's a follow up on the story from the first game, which Mario games fucking never do. So that
Yeah,
always
no, that's
that's just
crazy.
an annoyance. But so in the original Mario Land, you go to Sarasana Land to I forget the name of the weird alien dude at the end who's the final boss of that game who's kidnapped Daisy. And you're kind of and it's like more based on like real world stuff, which is just funny. There's like Egypt and Easter Island heads.
Yeah.
Because the team making it was super creative. You go to China at one point, basically. There's all this bamboo and Chinese zombie vampire things, the hopping ones.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
The music is real fucking cliche. And then you fight a cloud and then an alien in a spaceship. In an airplane, you shoot them. It's like, so that's like, I think part of why I like Cuphead's shooting levels so much. Because I'm like, this is like Mario Land 1.
Oh, man.
You get platforming and then
sense.
shooting segments. But so in Mario Land 2, it turns out that whole quest was a trap set up by Wario so that he could take over Mario's castle while Mario wasn't home. Mario has a castle, by the way, in case you didn't know.
And he just left.
It's never brought up again. Nope. This is Mario's. That's where Mario lives. He lives in his own castle, not in the Mushroom Kingdom, on Mario Land, on a little island with his own castle.
Yeah,
he's baller.
Where else is the plumber?
So, yeah. So it was all, but so your whole heroic journey was all a trick. It was just you were sent off on a foreign war, while back at home, the corruption spread, and then the final boss of the original Super Mario Land is now one of the 6 like area bosses. He hangs out. He's on the moon. You find him on the moon.
Right. Okay. This is all like coming back to me in bits and pieces. So.
Yeah. So just that idea of like, oh, this thing you were doing, it was all like that's like super instilled at me from that game. Which is like a classic storytelling thing, but I don't think video game sequels do it enough still. Mm-hmm. Certainly Mario games fucking never do anything with their story, so that's
Mario
like
is
it's leagues above any fucking Mario story. Just because it has an idea.
I get pissed in modern Mario games when they have the little cutscenes and stuff because the story is so shit anyway that why bother? Just get me right to the gameplay.
It's like, hijinks.
Oh no, Bowser kidnapped Peach again. Better give him a cutscene to explain
this time Bowser stuffed a fairy in a bottle. Go get him. That was Super Mario 3D World.
Still not dipped into it. That's the 3DS one, right?
No, that's the Wii U one.
Okay, then I have 3D dipped into it, and I 100% forgot their
3D Land
setup for
is the 3DS one. Because Land is for handhelds and World is for consoles.
Of course.
Yeah. You get to play with Rosalina later in that game after you beat it, or after you beat the main thing before you unlock the extra worlds.
That I know because when I was getting into it finally, and like Peter was playing through it with me, and he had already played through and stuff.
Yeah.
I said something about like, yeah, there's like these couple levels, and it seems like there's this other stuff. Like, do you get another character or something? He's like, I don't want to spoil it. It's a Mario game. Go ahead. Like, I don't care.
Well, I don't think. I mean, you already have Peach. You can already do all the stuff she can do. I think.
I mean, I also.
I don't think that's an explanation.
Okay.
Also, you could probably get there with anyone anyway.
I got
did
no
some
idea.
weird jump. It's usually how those games work. They usually don't lock you out of stuff per character. On that game, I don't think. I don't remember though.
I played it.
I played it through once with a friend, basically.
Do you get something for like beating each level with each character or something?
No, it's getting the coins. You're unlocking. You're getting 3 coins in every level, like 3D Land and like this new Super Mario Brothers games.
Okay,
that's the thing. That game is not influential on me, so let's
yeah.
move off it. But so So then, then the next Mario Land game is like, let's subvert even more. And now now you play as Wario because Wario is the best. So you're playing as Wario, and the thing I love about it is that it turns now your main motivating factor is like the thing that you're always actually doing in those games, which is collecting coins.
Okay.
Like all
Yeah,
Wario
yeah.
gives a shit about is money. So it's like you, the player, and Wario, you're on the same page here. You're just here to get the shit and
Yeah,
beat the
get
level
paid.
and whatnot. You're not looking to save anyone. Looking to get paid. And then you get a magic genie, and then you make a wish for a castle, but you have to give him the money to build it.
Oh no.
And depending on how much money you give him at the end, it gives you a better castle
Nice.
or a worse castle. Like if you have like no money, it gives you a birdhouse. And if
That's
you
pretty
have
great.
if you max it out, you get a planet
Right on.
with
Right on.
Wario's face on it.
Oh no.
It's pretty great.
I take it back.
But just that idea of then like again changing things up, turning the villain into a protagonist, though he's still same motivator. Those are all, and a character like motivated by greed. That's all. That's all
Yeah.
pretty influential on me. I kind of the character that I should have loved as a kid that I never cared about GI Joe though is Destro, but I kind of backed into imagining that kind of character on my own independently, and only later found out that the thing I actually was thinking about probably existed in GI Joe, but I just never liked GI Joe because I don't like regular people. Regular dudes
Yeah,
are boring.
It's boring as fuck. Like, I mean, we'll get to this later probably, but like, if there's Halo, why would I want to play Call of Duty? I don't want to fucking relive World War whatever. Like, I want to fight aliens.
Well, and you should play new calls like Call of Duty, fucking Infinite Warfare, or Out in Space.
Yeah, but like
Whatever.
then it was trash. So
Wow.
it's not my fault. Anyway. Um, I'd say like the first game, and I'm gonna like cheat here and do like 2 games that span like two
Yeah.
different times in my life.
I mean, I was kind of just talking about a series. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
fine.
true. I mean, okay, well then, like as a series, we can probably just do Legend of Zelda.
What?
Yeah, I know it's crazy.
Garbage.
Yeah, it's trash. No, the little indie series you might have heard of.
I mean, I came to Zelda pretty late, honestly. So
Ocarina of Time was like, if GoldenEye was my first game, Ocarina of Time was probably my second. And I was still just like, I didn't own it for a couple of years. Like after, I would just be playing it at daycare.
yeah,
So there was that, and I was still young enough where I knew I liked it. Like it was a really good game, but it just that weird age where you can't like realize stuff necessarily. Like you're not putting your thoughts into specific or your feelings into specific thoughts rather. That would come later with Wind Waker. Or actually, no, wait. Yes, Wind Waker. For some reason, I thought that I got Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, like which one came first, confused. But
you
it was,
skipped Majora's Mask.
I did for the most part. That one I came back to way later, and
Yeah, that's
it was good. But by that time, I was like, I don't
yeah.
know.
That's like how a lot of people reacted to it at the time. I feel, but
Yeah,
like people, kids. I never had an N64, so it wasn't really a thing for me. But my friends at the time, Ocarina was a moment, a thing. Even though, like, the part of that game that I remember the most was just the fishing mini game for whatever reason.
yeah.
It's the first like big open world game with a fishing thing I played, and before it was just every game, every Japanese open world thing has this. But yeah, like Majora's Mask didn't seem to make an impact. Mostly, I think, because it looked the same. Like mostly, feel like that was part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that definitely.
I'm not.
I really like the
Yeah, I'm not
masks. I
sure.
thought that all the masks were cool. Like aside
I
from
think
the
Majora's Mask is super super interesting to me, and I like watching it. I have the same problem playing it that I have with Ocarina. Like to me, that's indistinguishable because I just don't like the combat or the way
yeah.
moving through the world goes. But I like the creepy atmosphere of Majora's Mask.
Sure.
I like the oppressive feel.
Yeah. I
Although
like
the time net mechanic would have drove me fucking nuts as a kid. I could not have dealt with that.
yeah, that was
0% chance I would have played that
real
game.
annoying. Wind Waker though, and I don't know. It wasn't I guess I didn't realize like how much people were like, "What the fuck?" Because sailing is slow. You have to like pay Tingle 10 billion rupees to get the stupid charts decoded.
I mean, the bigger
and
thing
find
at the time, even the bigger thing at the time was just the art style.
the art
Just
style
people
as well,
shitting.
yeah.
That was like the biggest thing. Not having played it, and not really, only knowing one person who had it. The big conversation around it was like, this art style's stupid. And I was like, that art style seems kind of okay. I think it'll age better than all this other stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I was kind of upset
Which it
when they gave
has.
it a remake because it's the only one that doesn't need a remake in terms of graphics.
Well, yeah. Well, they fixed gameplay stuff too,
Yeah.
and they added Light Bloom, Ben.
So much like
Light
that.
blue.
They, half the budget went to everything else, and the other half was the bloom effects.
Well, I mean, they added a selfie mode though, so 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But I really like the sailing. Like that's something in games that I mean, up until that point I had never encountered that before. First off, and I'm like, okay, this is something I like. We can do more of this. Like, make more Zelda games on the ocean, and then they did, and they were trash. But
I
at the
liked
time,
Phantom Hourglass at the time.
I didn't. I
That control scheme hasn't held up, and the fact
Yeah.
that you go back to the same dungeon over and over again isn't great.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was the first Zelda game I got into, owned myself, and beat. So I have a attachment to that one. It's fucking Spirit Tracks is garbage.
Oh no, that's 110% garbage.
It has like the best part about Phantom Hourglass is that it's Lineback, and then Spirit Tracks has fake Lineback, like Lineback's descendant, and he's terrible.
Great.
I hate him.
Great.
Lineback forever.
I actually was, fun fact, right before, well, not right before, but before I actually got Wind Waker, I was trying it out at like a store, they have a little demo kiosk things. I thought that it was a stupid game because you could only move diagonally. You could only walk in diagonal directions. It wouldn't be until a good while later, a longer time than it should have been, that I realized that the controller was just broke. So I was like, this is a fucking dumb decision. Like, I'm sitting there pissed off because the game was kind of fun, except for the part where you could only walk diagonally. Like, who thought this was a good idea? It's a terrible game design. But, then I tried it out again, and turns out...
That's incredible.
Well, you're a little kid. Like, why would the store put out a broken controller? Who would do that?
Who would do what monster
I know, right? Like,
would lie to a child?
and then the big one, Twilight Princess. That was, and that, like, even for games, it wasn't necessarily huge, but like in my life, it was like Twilight Princess is the reason indirectly that I'm here doing this podcast. Like, it's one of those things where playing that game led to pretty much every other choice in my life. Because I played that game, and I really, really fucking like that game. It was is it still the second? I think I've only ever beat 3 Zelda games in full. One of them is Wind Waker, which I've done like 12 times. I beat Twilight Princess once. And I loved it. I love the ending. I love Midna as a character. I was like, man, Want to see more of her. And that was when the Nintendo Insider forums were still a thing. And, stumbled across this thread that someone had made, like, yo, bring Midna back. Like, we want her in another game. I'm like, yeah, I agree with this. So got talking, got more talking. The thread turned into like 100 pages. Crump got it shut down for spam. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Crump out of nowhere. I got pissed at Crump, then talked to him for a couple weeks. So those were like all my friends at that point, or like online friends, I should say. New threads started up. Nintendo Insider got shut down. And that was like just one day it's not there. And I'm like, okay. This was pre-Facebook. I have none of these people's emails. I know their username, but they were, as far as I know, they were just on Nintendo Insiders. Or there's other people with their usernames. I don't know. So there was a couple months where everything was bleak, and then one of them like randomly messaged me on YouTube, of all places, by Googling my username, and said that someone had set up like an Insider 2 fan site or whatever. And I like went there. Gang was all there. We had enough people and we're posting enough that we're like, fuck it, let's make a website. So made a website in like 2008. Like cut to a year or two later or whatever. Peter fucking rolls in. Good times were had for years. And then people just, that momentum stopped. As it does with like every fan site like that.
Yeah. You realize Twilight Princess is just okay.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, it was still more about the community. If Discord had been like, and we were using IRC chat, so like, if Discord had been around, I'd probably still have that chat room and still be hanging out with those people. But it was IRC, so eventually people stopped fucking logging into IRC.
Yeah.
But then at some point, like, we still had that MSN Messenger bullshit and a couple of them on Facebook, and at some point or another, Peter was like, hey, there's this community I've been like talking to, and people are pretty cool there. It's called Pixel Response. I'm like, yeah, all right. And then I showed up, and here I am. So that was a big one.
What's that? What
that
that?
Pixel Response died.
It kind of died. It got renamed, but
much like Spaghetti Cast.
Website Earl had to change.
So yeah, that was maybe not necessarily the complete theme of the topic,
but that's pretty big. That's a pretty big one.
It's a pretty big influence. Like no other game since has done. I think that's like a one-time thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna play a game and then get so immersed in it that I go out and obtain like a whole new friend group. So yeah,
it happens, I guess. I don't know. Not to me. That's not how I don't get into games in that way, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah, no, it was certainly a one-time. Like I enjoy now. Now it's just to the point where like if I like a game, I just want to discuss it with the friends I already have instead of like finding out new communities.
Yeah, I've never been big on seeking people out to talk about stuff. It's kind of a wonder I'm here doing this with people. It's like I don't know, how did that happen?
Right.
It's against my nature inherently. Yeah.
So yeah, Zelda.
And
specifically Wind Waker, and more specifically Twilight Princess.
Yeah. So now we need to talk about one of the biggest influences on me, which was Final Fantasy VII. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's a pretty popular game.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
But so that was like it came out around the same time as Pokemon. So that's like those 2 points are my introduction to RPGs. Basically, I hadn't played any of the. I had played the the Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo once. Because me and my friends rented it without really knowing what it was.
Yeah.
And then not being thrilled with what it was.
Yeah,
Because we wanted a Mario game.
Yeah.
You're like, what is this? It's not action. This is turns. Boo. Boo.
Where's the jumping?
What is this weird polygonal, like semi-polygonal
Yeah.
bullshit? I know people really like. There are people who really like the game. I'm not a fan. I really like the first GBA one, Superstar Saga. That's my Mario RPG that I like.
Okay.
But the Seven Swords or whatever, I don't remember.
Something.
I don't remember what the fucking.
Haven't
I remember their
checked up on
swords, but I don't remember what the Super Nintendo's called. But Final Fantasy VII, so that was my friends bought it. I didn't have a PlayStation yet, but I would hang out at their house and I basically watched them play through that whole thing. I played a bunch on my friends. On my own, I made my own save file at their place that I played while like they were sleeping at one point. And then my friend woke up and started playing and then overwrote his save because he saved like through on instinct. He was just mashing the button and that was a bad time. So I had
that's
to
his fault.
replay through. I mean, yeah, but we had to replay through a bunch of stuff. I mean, I was upset too because I'm watching that whole file. It was just sad. It was a great tragedy occurred that day. But yeah, like so, and it's so there's just stuff in there of like, I love that there's like a Star Wars-esque thing to how it starts with the in media res of being on a mission that is just something I've always liked, and that kind of cemented it in my head.
Okay.
Like with that and Star Wars is like, this is a good way to start your epic with like in the action, just stuff's happening. You'll catch up later. And that's like, so there's a lot of, so when fiction like starts with explaining everything, I'm always kind of annoyed. And there's like also an aspect to me where I'm totally cool jumping in the middle of a thing and figuring it out the rest later.
Gotcha.
I don't need to start from the beginning necessarily. You know, it's part of also why I'm okay with spoilers. I think it's just like the idea of I'm getting this as it's coming to me, and I'm taking it in, and then I can fill in the rest. Will get filled in later if there's like a thing that hooks me now. That's what's important. Mm-hmm. I need to be hooked in the moment, and then I'll care later. Because if you're just telling me explanation, then I'm not even gonna care about it anyway. So I've watched a lot of bad anime. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The worst, my least favorite trend about anime and TV in general is when the first episode is not indicative of the actual nature of the thing. Like Futurama, which is a show I really like, does that. Where the first episode is like is not indicative of what the show is like. Setup. And it turned me off the first time I watched it. And I had to come back to it later. But also stuff like just like the weird terrorism plot, the chase mystery stuff. It's all influential, and then Cosmo Canyon as an idea and a place was super influential to me in certain ways. But like the big thing that I need to talk about now is how that stuff then bled over into the world me and my friends created playing with Legos, where we had like nations and political stuff going on. I think I mentioned it once.
Yeah. I don't know if it was on a podcast or not, but I vividly recall.
Yeah. So we had three factions. Like theoretically, the good guys who were led by Cosmo, who is basically one of my friends went away to Canada for like a couple weeks, and he played Legos and told stories while he was there, and then he came back with the returning war hero Cosmo. He had like this
Yeah.
Lego dude, so he became like the leader of the good guy faction. Then there was the faction that I created, with just building shit out of like the leftover stuff that my friend of like basically the box of random Legos my friends had. I would build stuff, and then this is like the bad guy ship, and that character started just as very influenced by Wario and that kind of thing of being and like the arms dealing stuff, like sort of
Okay.
like the ideas from sort of Shinra and also other things, but so he was into like building stuff and selling weapons. So eventually he became a third faction of mercenaries who was
Okay.
selling weapons to both sides and was sometimes a bad guy and sometimes would ally with the good guys for political reasons. He ran for president.
Following the money.
He didn't win, but he ran for president. Yeah, follow the money.
I mean,
And
this
then
is
there
lining
was-
up with the character you played in our Dungeons and Dragons session.
He was. It's
Just
like
saying.
that character, but more like if you added more Wario to it.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Like gave him a mustache and bad teeth.
the theme I'm
and a
finding
big
here
hat.
is that you enjoy the concept of following cash.
It's fun. I mean I did it in that D&D campaign because I knew I could do it and it was easy.
Yeah,
I would
that's
say.
fair. Just-
And then their other villain had been like we just got into like weird dark magic stuff. It had like skeleton armies and then he was also allied with an evil mech empire. It was
Okay.
like off somewhere in the distance, but was helping him. So that
Yeah,
just because
everyone
variety,
knows
you have different Lego sets.
Everyone
Gotta
knows the,
allocate them somewhere.
the classic dark magic skeleton warriors being allied with Gundam.
But yeah, so like
Timeless.
that was a big thing, and like Wario and then Final Fantasy VII stuff are like two big in points onto just setting that off with me and my friends, and how it evolved over time until we stopped giving a shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Until my friends became addicted to AOL Instant Messenger and then Counter-Strike and then marijuana.
Addicted
In that
to
order.
marijuana.
Yeah, it was one of my friends. You wouldn't think a person could just be addicted to marijuana. Yeah, it was
No,
a problem.
You can, yeah. Okay, people say you can't get addicted to marijuana, and you can't in the sense of like
Yeah, yeah.
cigarettes. But
Yeah.
you can get addicted to anything. Like,
Yeah,
so
just-
many people are like coffee. Coffee's the big one. Oh, I get a headache if I don't have my 4 cups a day.
It's like
You're
addicted in a self-destructive kind of way.
Yeah, no, I got you. I just like all those fucking old people ads. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, we could probably do a joint thing on Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon will be its
Cool.
own episode.
Oh, are we just not rolling into that now? Then I can hold
I
off.
don't think we should. I think that
Okay,
should be its
that's
own
fair.
thing.
It was there. We
Yes.
could leave it at that. Like it was a thing.
That's certainly a big thing. I don't know that it's I would even say it was influential necessarily, but it was certainly a big thing
think-
that I spent a lot of time and energy thinking about.
I
and
think
playing and stuff.
the only part I'll talk about is that it was my first. It was like the first game that I played that was widespread. Like up until that point, like games weren't something that people talked about at school. And then like when Pokemon was a thing starting, I think for like my class and my like school at that point, it would be like Gen 3 is when everybody kind of got into it. So like it was around at recess. All the other kids were talking about it. Like I didn't have to fucking hang out with my 2 friends and discuss Pokemon. Like everybody was bringing their Game Boy Advance to school and playing Pokemon. And it was
Yeah.
that social
like-
aspect was crazy.
Yeah, at school it was like, the Pogs were the big thing, and then like yo-yos, and then Pokemon. It's just, when you think about it, like very primitive toys, and then a fucking
Then
video
suddenly,
game.
boom. Yeah. So that was crazy.
Yeah.
I think, like, skipping past that period then, the next big one would honestly probably be Smash Bros. And then Melee soon after. Like, that, my timeline was all kind of crunched. Like, when I had my N64, there was that overlap with GameCube. So that was kind of like a little mashup of varying things. But especially Melee was like, that's what me and my brother played all the time. Like, when Crump would come over, that's what we played. When other friends would come over, it was still Melee. Like, that was the go-to. And just that kind of shaped what I appreciate in a fighting game. Like, I don't enjoy like trying to play Soul Calibur now. Like, it was good, I enjoyed it, but then I would look at all this shit and be like, yeah, it's like left right left right left right left right left right left right, A B A B A Y, and then you do your move. Like, that's never appealed to me. Ever.
I don't know anything. Soul Calibur is like is the weird one, because that would, I think, feel super easy to just play.
Oh,
But,
yeah, no, you can just like spam shit, but it's one of those things.
So
like,
so it's interesting because, like, for me, I had like the opposite time with Melee, which is just, I played a lot of the original Smash Brothers with my friends. Like, we were super into that game, but like playing it with friends, and we would play with like random levels, all items, or we would turn them off different times. But we never got like competitive. It was just about fighting and having fun. And I love that game. And then Melee came out, and my friends didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't get it. So it wasn't one I spent a whole lot of time with. My time with it ended up being like, I was at an anime convention in the video game room, and I started playing it, and the people who played with it were the fucking worst, and I hated it.
Like, worst is in just trash, or worst is in like, I'm all about that wave dash.
Yeah, it's fucking no items, Final Destination only, just sucking
No items,
and
Final Destination Fox only.
sucking all the
Restock.
fun out of that game. Like, it was just not fun anymore. And I like competitive one-on-one fighters, but the way they turned that game into something that just I didn't enjoy and was like
Yeah, no, it's fair.
a bad experience is like, I always kind of like, unfairly I hold that against Melee, just because that's the game I experienced it with, even though
Yeah.
I can recognize some of, like, I love the post-game score screens in Melee that they stopped doing for some reason, of like the weird awards is probably my favorite random thing. But then and then in college we started playing original Smash Brothers. So like, even again, Melee existed. The one we got into first in college was original, and then Brawl came out, and we started just playing a bunch of that. Like, and
That's
the people I
gross.
played with had similar feelings towards Melee from different experiences. So we liked playing that one because it just didn't have the tinge of competitive grossness and unfriendly behavior that was associated with Melee. So we just played that one and had fun. You could build your own stages, which were super dumb
Yeah,
and
that
bad.
was pretty. Yeah.
I liked the fucking single player in that game was good and stupid and silly.
Yeah.
Also,
See,
I like
think-
playing with Kirby, and Kirby plays worse in Melee. He plays the worst in that game. So
I think, yeah, the comp thing with Melee, like, I never really encountered that. I guess the only time was me and Crump signed up for a doubles tournament, like, when it was first kind of a thing. Like, just thinking, okay, like, people are just playing Smash Bros. We learned a lot, I'll say that. We got our asses kicked because, we do other things with our time. And the fact that everyone there was like 10 years older than us. So that was the thing. I think when Brawl came out, I played it a fair bit still, but it was just kind of at that point where, like, for Melee and the original one, like, my brother was still probably who I played with most, just because like, he's always there. Like, he's just around.
Yeah.
And then after a while, like, I don't know, as he got older, he got less into video games for a long time, so, like, he was less interested. And I was like, whatever.
I mean,
like,
yeah, it's a timing thing. It's
Yeah.
like that time is probably when like Melee was out for me, when just people were less into games, so it just wasn't a thing.
yeah. So then, actually, like, Smash 4 kind of brought that back around. Smash 4 and then, like, Mario Kart 8, I kind of hold in the same category. Like, when my brother is around, I'll bring the Switch back and we'll play Mario Kart 8. At some point, there will be a Smash Bros. Game on it, and we will play that. So,
Yeah, my big thing with Smash 4 is I haven't had more than like one person to play games with in a room. It just doesn't happen. And I think Mario Kart's better for if you're just having two people playing a game. Like, it's just way more fun
yeah.
if there are only two of you.
I mean, also,
I think you need at
thing-
least three for Brawl to be fun.
what we usually do,
Smash
or
Brothers,
what
rather.
we did for Smash 4, and it was surprisingly enjoyable with just two people. Just, you know, 3 stock, free for all, 8-person Smash. Like, it's just so dumb and
Yeah.
chaotic and stupid that it's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It just never worked for us.
Yep. Yeah.
I had more fun. Well, rather, had more fun playing Mario Kart, basically. Like, it's me and my friend, or playing like other games, like playing 2-player Yoshi's Woolly World or Super Mario 3D World. Just
Yeah.
if we're gonna play a game, there were other games to play, or Mario Maker, passing back and forth. Once the Wii U was a thing.
Yeah, that's my Smash
Yeah.
Bros. Experience. That's kind of like,
Yeah.
and that sort of is also just I guess a symbol of, like, my party game experience thing. Like, that's, you know,
Yeah.
4-person. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'll say, I really like fighting games. Like, I like standard fight. The first game I bought on a console, I got for my birthday. I got a PlayStation with Tekken 3, because I'd read in fucking EGM about the fucking Tekken 3 review, and they'd given it perfect scores, perfect 10 in every category. I was like, oh man.
Oh shit.
And then when I got it, I got the strategy guide. And my favorite part about the strategy guide wasn't that it had the moves, it's that it had little paragraph sub stories for all the characters. It, like, told you their backstory more than what was in the manual. And that, I love the dumb story stuff, and I love playing through that game, getting to the end and seeing the dumb cutscenes. Because that's like, I never really got anyone to play Tekken 3 with me. That was definitely in the age of, like, I have this game and none of my friends have it, so none of them are good at it or want to play with me. But I will play the shit out of it. And then I get to be a dinosaur, and that's fun. Or a bear. Like, just
Of course.
just good times.
Fucking of course.
So then it wasn't till my friend had and so then there were other fighting games I played there. My friends had Marvel Superheroes for the PlayStation. We played a lot of that, which is sort of my in for how I know how to play Street Fighter. That was kind of the first Street Fighter-esque game I played, where, like, doing quarter circle punch was a thing. Because in Tekken is I liked as a fighting game to wrap your head around, because it's just every button connects to a specific limb. So if you want to do something with this arm, you press this button. So it's, like, conceptually easy to wrap your head around, rather than, like, hard, light, medium, or whatever on punches and kicks. And also, like, just me and my friends, big comic book fans, so, like, Marvel characters were super fun to play with. But then eventually my friend had an Xbox, and he had Soul Calibur 2 for it, and we played that. That became a thing.
Soul Calibur 2 was real fucking good.
That was a big thing. That was, like, it was always the thing of like the fighting games my friends got into were not the ones that I had, and I wasn't gonna go. I wasn't ever. It was for some reason in my head. I was always trying to buy games my friends didn't have, so I would be playing different stuff. I didn't want to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It felt like a waste to buy a thing I'd already played or whatever. So I was never. So it was always like the struggle of they own this game, they've played it way more than me. I'm like trying to catch up, and they're kicking my butt. So that was definitely the arc with Soul Calibur 2, where eventually I settled on playing as Spawn. I think was the first character I settled in that game, just because he's Spawn. I never loved Spawn, but Spawn was like in the comics he was like a cool drawing, but not like a good character. I don't know. I like that movie. Okay, it's pretty bad, but I like it. But it wasn't like I was super attached to Spawn. I just liked how that he played in that game because he was dumb and he did all these spins. He would like shoot around, and I could get ring outs really easily. This is the best part, getting a ring out. Oh yeah, we'd also played Star Wars Masters of Terrakasi too much. Definitely played too much of that game. Like the weirdest part to me is watching videos of people like unearthing that game and saying, "Look how bad this is." I'm just like, yeah, but you don't know the moves. Like somehow, I fucking am terrible at learning moves in fighting games. Somehow we knew how to do. We played enough of that game that we learned the moves just from like, playing it enough and having a magazine.
Yeah. Or you accidentally do something and you're like, wait, shit, how would I do that? And you keep trying until you... Like...
The best is in that game is with Thok, where you can just get bigger and bigger. You just make yourself grow until you reach certain size, and then you can expel all the energy and shoot a big ball of fire everywhere, and then you shrink back down. But that game is like really clunky, but that was like I didn't know better for fighting games still.
Yeah.
I was an idiot, dumb kid, and it's Star Wars, man. You can play as Boba Fett.
That is the fucking dream. Like that's actually just I played as Boba Fett. That's all I've ever wanted.
I've got a jetpack. I can fire that missile on that jetpack. You could play as Hor. I always wanted to play as a Tusken Raider.
Yeah.
And go, ah, ah, ah. You don't get to rape anyone, though. That's not in that game.
There's too many jokes that I just don't want to.
So, and then after Soul Calibur, the next one was Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, which that game is fucking hard. And it's super good, but that was the game I got my ass kicked over and over and over again. My friends were playing it, were super into it. And I just got my ass handed to me over and over again until eventually I came to love that game and got pretty good at it. Like it's just like getting your face kicked in until, you callous over and come hard or whatever.
You get your face kicked in until you
become
callous
hard.
Over and you come hard.
But sure.
I heard what I heard. I heard what I heard.
Yeah. And that one took a long time for me to find where I found a character I liked even a little. But I eventually settled on Chun-Li, who's now my favorite. And turns out is kind of top tier in that game, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And that's like, going forward now, that's like my base mark for fighting games if I'm playing what I judge them against, my favorite one. They're putting it out in that Street Fighter collection, and I'm super excited because there hasn't been a good way to play it since the 360 version, which I still play occasionally.
Yeah, I just
and that's just like late era sprite work. Like it's just super. I love how it looks.
Oh yeah, no,
like,
those games, like that game looks really nice.
It's one of the last of that generation of sprite based fighters where they looked super good, and they were I'm sad they moved to polygonal stuff because it doesn't look as good. Although Arc has at least found a way that the CG models look good, where they make them look good in 2D, even though they're 3D models. It's pretty impressive. Like that new Dragon Ball Z fighting game and the last Guilty Gear thing, both they look good. Those games look good, but they don't have that sprite charm.
Yeah.
Let's say. Also, there's great voice work in Third Strike. Some good, like, voice clip stuff. It's just it all hits. Good music. Like, I also loved Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but I don't like that game has like one song in it. Just like, and like it's all jazzy. It's weird. It's a weird soundtrack.
It sounds like an amazing soundtrack.
It's
Jazzy.
just fucking weird. I want to
Got my
take you
attention.
for a ride. It's just fucking bizarre. Also, and that game has the weird thing of being, because they're just taking fighties from other games they've made, the sprites are very inconsistent from one another.
Oh.
So like the ones that are new look super good, and some of them look like dog shit. Like the Darkstalkers sprites are just fucking old. They don't look great. Weirdly, the Street Fighter characters don't look great either, because that's before Third Strike. So they're using like alpha. I don't know, they're using old sprites. So they're also, the characters are like different sizes. Like, so Ryu comes to like Cable's fucking nipples or something in terms of height. It's just fucking weird. But also that game I had one of those moments of, oh, I don't like this game anymore because this person is too good. And it was with friends from high school where we would get together and play a bunch of multiplayer games. And one of my friends just like takes the controller, puts it on his lap, starts tapping buttons and locking us into infinite combos. And it's just like, oh, this isn't fun anymore. Like, it's all gone. All the fun. It's evaporating before my eyes. Like, that you can do that is just like, that's not fun. Where, like, you have to just know these specific things to do, and then you just win if you get, like, the first hit. That's just... now I'm out. And it wasn't until that was, like, the breaking point for that kind of 2D fighter until that Street Fighter thing happened for me. Mm-hmm. That was a breaking point with fighting games. And Tekken has been on and off for me because some games have been good and some have been not so good. Like Tekken 4 is bad because they introduced traditionally Tekken had been in big wide open areas with no ring outs. Like, the world would just weirdly rotate around you. Okay. So that you would always sort of stay in the same circle. And then Tekken 4 got rid of that and introduced, like, tiny rings where you would just get someone up against the wall and you could just fucking wail on them.
Beat the shit out of them, yeah.
Into the wall, and just, they had, like, some really small arenas. It was just bad. Like, they'd fucked it up. And they fixed it in 5. 5 was good. And I had good times playing 5 with friends. And then I just didn't have a 360 when 6 came out, and 6 is weird. And I've just never gotten attached to it. But that's mostly because I didn't have it when it was a thing, and I never really played it with anyone. Which is, I feel like a lot of fighting games is who you're playing it with, what like the kind of community thing you're getting into, and whatnot.
No, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Like when it's a 1v1 scenario.
When it's 1v1, it's like you need friends, I think, or you just
that,
or like, you have a background and you're just like you kind of know what you're doing.
Like if one person is bad, that's the only person you're playing against.
That's also a thing. That's also a thing. Like, you have to have people who are friends who are like either willing to get their shit kicked in until they improve. That was my thing. Is I was always willing to get my face kicked in until I got better. I was always a player who's willing to just lose over and over again hoping to get better. Whereas my friends, if you went at the opposite angle, and I played Tekken against them and beat them, they were not into playing it again. So that was a bummer.
Yeah.
It was like learning. It was just like one of those things about life, learning about myself and learning about my friends. Of like, oh, this only works this way. This relationship. I see how it is. But I think that's enough fighting game talk.
Well, speaking of learning things about you and your friends, Halo 3 was a hell of a time. I think so. It was my first. I think that's probably an accurate statement. That's like the first game like my first online game. Like, I'm playing against all these other people. Maybe not, that might not necessarily be true, but it's the first one that I can think of. And it certainly is, like, in general, just the best one still for me. Like, to this day, I think most of the, or not most, I should say, like, the good times I've had in games, like online games, just randomly, it's still Halo 3. Like, it was such a crazy thing. And that was another one where, like, people at school were playing it. Like, my brother played it. Everybody was playing it. Like, relatives would play it. Like, me, my brother, my cousin, 2 friends from school, Crump, other people, just all like, whatever. We're all just going to play fucking Halo. And it was
Grandma.
just crazy. Yeah, like,
Her
grandma gets a
dog.
controller, starts calling people faggots. So she fucked their mom. You know, the usual stuff.
Dog starts playing, you know.
Yeah, we got the goldfish in on it.
Nice.
Could put a little headset over the bowl.
Get him a special controller he can use with his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, just fishing away on it.
Run button's
Yeah.
always held in. Just aim and shoot.
Just bumps against the buttons. Try to get him the rocket launcher each time. But there was, and it's one of those things, like, it was a weird, like, friend system in the sense that I would have these online friends, but I wouldn't do other stuff with them. Like, we would they'd be playing Halo. I'd be like, yo, you playing Halo? They'd be like, yeah, I'm playing Halo. I'm like, cool, let's play Halo. And then we'd play Halo. It's not like, oh, do you want to play a different game? I don't care. That's not what we're about. That's not what this friendship is. We play Halo in this friendship. If you want to play something else, you can get a different fucking friend. So was that. Like, just that whole concept of just how amazing it was. Like, how consistent it was. And this has led to, like, all of my kind of, well, not entirely accepting, but we had real bad internet then. So we'd be playing Halo, but half the time it was not actually playing Halo. It was just like, well, I'm lagging. There's been like 2 times in that entire run of all the years that I played Halo 3. There were like 2 times when somehow the lag was in my favor. So, like, we're playing, and Crump is like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're just, like, bouncing around the map, like you're teleporting and just killing people. Like, you're just behind them suddenly, and then they die. I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, this looks so fucking hacked from my screen. I'm like, this is fantastic. Let's do this again. And other than that, like, I would just get, like, I'd be walking into walls and all this other shit. Like, we'd disconnect. And you just, like, I don't know, like, you'd be kind of pissed at it, but, like, you either play Halo with this or you don't play at all. So you just learn to accept it. So now it's like, oh, my internet's being a little bad. Well, it used to be this, so really it's not that bad at all. And that just, like, that online experience is just something that, I don't know. I think part of it is, like, kind of having, like, more online friends and more of, like, a community with, like, Burning Barrel or whatever. Like I don't really want to go and play like Battlefield or something by myself and then throw on my mic and headset or whatever. Like I just
Yeah.
don't care anymore. But that experience was still so good. And also had
Yeah.
possibly I don't want to call it my best moment in gaming, but it is definitely top 10, possibly top 5, maybe top 3. You can create your emblems in Halo. You can choose your armor color, and you could do like little 3 letter letter number call sign. Me, brother, cousin's friend, Crump, a couple other people. We decided we were going to be the pretty pink unicorns. Had a very specific emblem, this color, this pink accent, armor, this shade of pink. Everybody was on board. All of our call signs were like go 1, go 2, go 3, etc. We're all queued up in a party. We're doing whatever, like 5-man or whatever the hell it was. I think it was 5-man at the time, like the 5 of us that happened to be playing. And we're talking, waiting for the game to start. And what happens is, like, in the pregame lobbies, you can hear both teams. Like, both teams can talk with each other if they want. Like, you can hear what everybody's saying, and it's just a thing. And so everybody's just having their own conversations, and the teams load in. Dead fucking silence. 2 pretty pink unicorn clans. My mind's thinking about it. Our minds are just blown. Like, literally everybody just dead silent, and then everyone just flips shit. Like, the screaming and yelling, just unimaginable. Just instant shit talking. The most intense, like, we needed to win that game. It was the most important game of my entire life. And we did. We fucking did it. It was beautiful. I rode that high for years. It got me through high school. Like, it was the best. Occasionally, when I'm with Crump or someone, or like my brother, I'll be like, hey, remember that one time when we were the pretty pink unicorns? And we were the best unicorns? Oh,
You just destroyed a whole squad's life, though. Imagine the team that lost.
yeah.
It's like,
Oh, man.
remember when that other
no.
team of pink unicorns showed up and we got our asses kicked?
Oh, man. As he passes, like, the meth pipe or something. Like, remember those fucking unicorns back in 09 or whatever? Pieces of shit. I could have been something. But, maybe they should have been trash. They wanted a rematch, and we just said no.
I mean,
smart.
that
We
was
got out.
that was the correct call. Got him. Dip immediately.
Gotcha, bitch. That was a fun time. As far as like, I actually realized that I had my segue into this and then never came back to it.
Oh, man.
As far as Fred's learning things, that was like when me and Crump realized that at least when it comes to shooters, maybe games in general, but I don't even know anymore. This only in comparison to him. I have no idea how I would stand up against average Joe gamer, but
Yeah.
I definitely was more on like the talent side of things. Like I picked up Halo 3 and I was pretty damn good with like 0 practice, and then got the hang of it super fucking fast. And Crump was not, like, he was trash at first. Like, he was worse by far, but he improved far more. Like, he was better at, like, just, I guess, skill over time, like practicing and getting better through that.
Yeah.
So, not that that matters at all, but I wanted to bring it back full circle.
Yeah, and I would say I did not have of my friends, it was definitely my other friend who was better at games right off the bat, and I was not. But I would get better over time. I would never get. We usually didn't. I don't think I wouldn't say I would ever get super good, except in Soul Calibur 2. I had the thing of when that game came out back on 360. I played it a bunch, and then one night getting back to with my old friends and like, hey, let's play Soul Calibur 2. Like, I've been fucking ready, bitch. And I just fucking destroyed them. So that was fun.
Welcome to the wheelhouse.
I laughed so hard. Because, like, one mirror matches with his character. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Just fucking revenge. Now I am the champion. So that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of online experiences,
Oh man, the segue.
one day, one of my friends told me about a little thing called EverQuest.
Okay, I thought you were going to say World of Warcraft, but go on.
No, EverQuest. Original OG EverQuest. Talking about online worlds. And for me, EverQuest was like my friend telling me about EverQuest and me thinking about EverQuest was definitely a much better experience than playing EverQuest, I'll say. Because you get in there to play EverQuest and it's like, fuck, there's this bat. Oh man, I hope I can win. It was very slow. Grinding was super hard. You had to be connected to the fucking internet.
Yeah.
Every zone you went into was a loading screen. If you died, you'd start back in your spawn and you had to walk all the way to where you died and find your corpse and get your shit back because your stuff stayed on your body. So dying was super scary. The best thing was you could do is like one of those hilarious things is creeps didn't have like they wouldn't like de-aggro you if you were in the zone. Mm-hmm. So people would run around the entire area, grab aggro from every mob, and then zone out. So then someone else would zone in, and all the enemies in the entire zone would be right there at the door as they loaded in and just murder the shit out of them.
That's amazing.
So that zone would just be fucked for a while, and because of how, like, you were sort of limited in where would be a good place for you to go level.
Yeah.
Like you had to know the right zones. There were some zones were certainly better than others, so you kind of wanted to go to definitely when I played that game, I gravitated to specific zones for a level range because I knew that area, I knew how to do it. It was easy and efficient. Like it was a small area. The other things with EverQuest, like you had to eat food and drink water so you didn't get hungry. Like it had like survival elements just in terms of you needed that stuff or you would die.
Yeah.
Regenning mana was a super slow process, and you had to be sitting down to restore mana.
Well, how else are you gonna do it standing up?
So like soloing at a certain point is like not a thing. You would have to go to a zone, try and find a party, and then party up, and then you would basically pick a spot where you would all be, where your casters and healers would sit to regen mana, while the tank would go off and pull mobs back to you. It's so good. But it was also just those moments of like, so I got to EverQuest. By the time I started playing EverQuest was several years after I knew about it and had seen it. But so by that point they had made certain things easier. Like there was now a network of teleporters, which they didn't have before, to get you around the world faster. And also they introduced the moon, where the bazaar was, which is basically like the auction house trading place, which worked by people would set up their character as a shop with the stuff they wanted to trade in a physical space. So you would go into this room and there would just be characters standing everywhere as actual shops, and then there was an inventory you could search. There was like a search menu also. Mm-hmm. But I would go in that area, I could not move. Instant like just the lag was unbelievable. It wasn't even the internet, it was just my computer could not handle it. So I'd have to, the trick is you look at the floor and then you can move around freely.
Yep. Yep, absolutely have been there. Skyrim
So
vibes.
so that's but just like that, that's where I got introduced to that like massive multi of just like this. There's so many people here, and this is so jank and broken, but it's amazing. And so EverQuest was a thing. I played a lot of it. I played a shaman, so I could turn into a bear to give myself 5 extra wisdom.
So
It's like
bears has been an ongoing theme.
yes,
Apparently.
apparently. So and my character was all about buffs. So I had like a spell to buff like every single dumb stat. Like it was fun. There was also fun spells I had. Like I could make characters grow and shrink. I could just make you bigger for no reason. That was fun.
Okay.
But the annoying thing is you could only have 8 spells in your spell bar at once, and you had to manually go into your spell book and switch them out if you wanted to use other ones. And I had more than 8 spells I wanted to use by a lot. So there was it's a lot of like menu management and sitting in place, and eventually like what killed that game for me was like going to a place and not being able to get a party, and just like I can't like it takes so long to load into this, and then I have to find people randomly and then group up, and it just eventually was too hard.
Yeah.
But in EverQuest I never really had a community. I had a friend I played with, and he was much higher level than me, so I never even really got to play with him. It was mostly a solo thing of finding random people to play with and playing with them. And there's just dumb stuff I remember. Like there is this elf city that was near this orc area that was like kind of my favorite place to level once you'd hit like level 10. It was just like it was pretty tight. There were good groups of orcs. I liked the lore of like there was a little hierarchy of like the boss dude, and then there was this dark elf who was there who would spawn sometimes, who was even stronger. So that was like my go-to leveling area. But I like to play like evil characters, so I couldn't set my respawn in the nearby city, because if like I'm a troll, my main character was an Ixar, who's like a lizard dude. And if we went too near that city, because it was good, it was a good faction, the guards would just murder me like I was an NPC. So I couldn't go to town there.
Yeah.
But there was like basically their city was up in the trees, and there was like this big elevator, which was like a big slab of wood that would just go up and down, and there was like one guard. So people would hang out on the stairs, and then you would try to like trick people into coming closer so they get murdered by the guard or whatever. Like they're fun games with that kind of stuff. And like PvP shenanigans. Also, I was like, my friend was also super into dueling, of just fighting people. And my character, so I was weaker than him, but my character had the best spell for dueling, which was blind, which would just make your monitor go completely white.
Oh my god. Wow.
It was
Could you
just
imagine
like
in HOTS though.
it was like
What a thing.
it's real bad. It just makes you think your monitor is broken. It's rough time.
Yeah, no, that sounds. I mean, it sounds amazing, but it sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah, like that's one of the things I love about, like, there was also dumb stuff like characters had sizes, would be of different sizes, and they would have like, you couldn't walk through other characters. They would have specific hitboxes. So if you were an ogre, you could stand in front of the door to the bank and nobody could get in. Until like a fucking GM comes and punts you across the world for being an asshole.
I mean, it sounds amazing.
It's pretty good. It's like, so that's like, and there was just like the way the gear worked in the game, it was just fucking nonsense. There was just like so many items, and they weren't made with any kind of rhyme or reason. Just like these things that like, they're bad design, And like the way they would make new content for EverQuest was just more stuff. There was always more. They never went back and like fixed anything. They just like added on top of and on top and on top and on top for the most part. Which is very different from how then World of Warcraft came out, and I'd been a big fan of Warcraft 3 previously, which is another thing I'm going to have to talk about. But when that came out, that was super streamlined. Like, you had these big open areas before without loading, which was fucking incredible at the time. Like, that was the biggest thing of, like, EverQuest was all these specific zones, and you were loading in as you traveled across the world. And World of Warcraft, you loaded in, and then you were just in this giant space. And there were some dungeons, and then there were two major continents, but that was like incredible at the time. But also it ran better than EverQuest at launch. It just besides the technical issues that on like the first couple days where they had to build way more servers than they thought they would because the game was way too popular. Like Blizzard had to like I think more than double the size of their staff just in tech support for servers when they launched that game. It was way more popular than I thought it would be. Although I remember that game being advertised at a movie theater. Like I went to see a movie and like one of the trailer thrills was for World of Warcraft. So they certainly advertised it. But it was just like that compared to now, there's like still plenty of jank and like weird design and mess in original WoW, but it was so streamlined compared to what I'd been playing that it was it was pretty amazing. And that had its own thing of like good hangout areas where people would just like mill around for fighting each other. Like again, my friend played way more of it. He was a much higher level, and I would just watch him hang out and duel people, one-on-one fights. It was like his favorite
sit
thing.
back with popcorn.
Yeah. Because my internet and computer were not really good enough at playing in the big open areas. So, like, if there were too many people on... Like, I remember going to Alterac Valley for the first time, which was, like, the big, like, 100-person, like, PvP thing. Of just this really long fight that had all these mechanics and phases that eventually they streamlined out. But I got in there and I couldn't get to the main fight. Like my computer started lagging too hard. So I would like feel myself getting close. It was like suddenly the game's running like shit. I'm like, oh, I can feel the force of the fight.
There.
Like I'm fucking Krillin or something. Just feeling the great battle that's beyond the horizon and not really being able to participate.
Yeah.
And then only later on once the game was older, like 2 expansions in, did I start doing any raiding stuff, and that's like group experience. But my big community experience with WoW was like one summer while I was home from college, me and a bunch of old friends from before college, like high school or earlier friends even, got together and started our own leveling guild, and we had like a vent chat server that we played on. We would get into like every day for that summer and just shit talk while playing, and that was super fun. We just had a bunch of us every day we'd be on there, and some people were in and out, but some of us were more dedicated. And by the end of that summer, I still hadn't hit max level in that game in original WoW. That's how long it took to fucking level when that game was as originally balanced. And like even 2 years ago, I could play WoW and level to 60 in like 2 weeks, playing casually. Like it's like such a different,
crazy.
It's such a different thing. And WoW was so much faster leveling than EverQuest. Like the jumps in the way that genre has changed in terms of like how much time it's asking of you and how much easier it works. It's fucking weird. But there was like something about when it was like impossible to do, but you could like so you could spend all this time thinking about how cool it would be that made it like more potent. Like when it was more in your mind than in reality, it was sort of better. In certain ways.
Well, because you're like the journey is better than the end, probably. Like, man, being level X would be so fucking dope.
Yeah,
and then like, well, I'm level X now. Okay, whatever.
And I would like just like you just. There was also dumb like the way the talents used to work in Warcraft, though, to just sit around and theorycraft dumb builds in a way you just can't anymore because they've streamlined it too much.
Yeah,
but and the some of the PvP elements carried eventually, like the way they introduced arena carried the torch for a kind of PvP I'd gotten familiar with from playing Warcraft 3 and playing Dota, which was earlier, but
yeah.
So that's its own thing. But I'll let you go. If you've got another thing.
I'm actually I'm gonna like combine 3 because I don't know. Like there's Oblivion, there's Minecraft, and then I guess a slightly bigger thing, but still kind of is Bastion. So Oblivion was just your pretty run-of-the-mill, like, holy fuck, this is a big world and there's a lot of stuff to do and I can do anything.
Yeah.
Like that, that's kind of that experience. And like that got me all pumped up for I never actually like finished Oblivion because, it's a Bethesda game. So after like I had several saves where I just kind of like dicked around and never actually really tried to do the story. And then I got serious about it, and I put like 80 hours into that file. And about 80 hours in is when the game had like a breaking bug, and I could not do anything. Literally zero things I could do about it. I like somehow, I don't know if it was random or if something caused it, but I was like in a cave, and anytime I tried to exit the cave, the game just crashed. Nothing. Just nothing to be done. So that ended. But it did give me hype for Skyrim, which I played the fuck out of. Played way more than Oblivion, but in hindsight, like if I had like someone's like, yo, we're gonna play through either Skyrim or Oblivion, pick one. It's gonna be Oblivion, I think. Like Skyrim's pretty, but Oblivion just had that story and like the side quests and stuff. I don't know. It was pretty crazy to me. In Crump's first time playing Oblivion, he got lost immediately. Did not know that there was a map. And then just gave up and called it stupid.
So I can relate.
Yeah, no, like I'm just like, you never like press start. Like hit buttons. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so that was the thing. Minecraft is also like almost self-explanatory. Like it's fucking Minecraft. Like I've got it. That's one of the things when I try to figure out like what game I've gotten the most like bang for my buck, like per time played, how much money am I spending like per hour on this game?
Yeah.
And Minecraft is up there because I hit it when it was like alpha and it was like $10 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
5 or whatever nonsense.
I have a dumb thing where like I didn't get it. I saw that it was a thing when it was like $10. I was like, nah. Then it became like the biggest thing. Where it's like, yeah, but I passed on it when I could have gotten in on the ground floor, so now I don't care about it.
Wow.
It's like dumb.
Fucking this guy. Yeah, that was just.
Yeah,
and I mean, whatever. I played it like. Me and Crump played it a bit. Like I'll still go back now and again, but I think it just. I don't know. It was just that really cool concept of like, and I think, was that like. I think you were there. I feel like Paul was there. The people were talking about like if you had to play one game for the rest of eternity, and then there was like a bunch of talk about well, there's servers online, are other people playing the game, like all that stuff. Minecraft is like consistently like that might be the one. There's just there's so much that you can do that it might actually be like that for me.
So many penises you could build.
You could build so many different kinds of dicks. 3-dimensional dicks, 2-dimensional dicks.
The true measurement of the ability for be creative in a video game.
Chicks how many ways? Dicks.
How many ways are there for you to draw a penis?
Yeah.
I mean, shooters, you need the bullet holes in the wall. So if they don't stick around, that's bad game. 0 out of 10.
No, it's trash. They need to have a lifetime. Like their spawn limit needs to be like at least 200 seconds. Yeah. Like, I want that dick to be visible. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just Minecraft. Like I've never. Thank God, I was like just. I guess I probably missed it by a couple of years. Like the shitty Let's Player streaming, not streaming at the time, but like, you know, just some fucker with a $2 mic just deep throating the thing like, "Sup guys, we're gonna do Minecraft Let's Play today." Just terrible. I had like some people my brother's grade. He's 4 years younger than me. They got there, and it was annoying as hell. I don't think any of them ever got into like PewDiePie, but you know, I skirted the edge of that. I want to say generation, but it's not really a generation. I don't know what to call it. Yeah, and then Bastion came along. That one, in terms of like lasting effect that's limited to like video games, that might be the most influential one in a way, because that was like the first game I played where I truly considered it like a work of art. Like the graphics were gorgeous, the music was great, the gameplay was good. Like I didn't just want to play this game. Like I sat and listened to the soundtrack. I was like, yo, I want to get some paintings of this or some shit. This is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Bastion's soundtrack is quite good. I have that CD. I bought that. Yep. So,
oh yeah,
I love that game.
Same.
I love the narrator in that. I love the mission where he's just saying stuff that he thinks is true that isn't.
Yeah,
it's super good, and I love that the way it handles choice at the end. It's super good.
No, that like in that game, that after that, I started looking for that in other games. I'm like, yeah, okay, like it's fine, but also where's the magic? Like,
yeah, it did a thing I like an idea I'd sort of been interested in, been thinking about was games that can tell the story through the gameplay rather than doing a cutscene, and that the end of Bastion does that with the way that final mission works, the final like thing you do. So that was just that just stood out to me at the time for sure. Is like a thing that I'd been thinking about, and then this thing is the thing that does it really is a good example. And then kind of it's not, things haven't continued to do it at the pace I would have enjoyed, but you know, shit happens.
Yeah.
Video games are hard.
That was, and I mean, I guess like the next one that I could think of in line was like To the Moon, which far less of the gameplay aspect and just like that they can be used as a medium for heavy storytelling. But it still kind of stems from just Bastion. Like, yeah, okay, games they don't have to just be like Mario. You don't have to just be running and jumping and doing whatever. Like, it really opened my mind to like the design space, I suppose, like just how wide of a genre it is. So that was pretty crazy. Yeah, that's my little bit, I guess, on the.
Nice.
I had like 1.5 more things to talk about.
Okay. Could talk about Dota, but I'm gonna talk about just other hot seat type gaming experiences I had with my friends of turn-based computer games where you would just you would take a turn and then you would pass it off to your friend sitting there, and then take a turn,
Yeah.
which became like a huge thing for us. And the big games were this game like nobody's heard of, Deadlock 2 Shrine Wars,
Yeah,
which
you're
is like
correct. I've never
um
ever.
it's got quality, like CG, like voice stuff of people telling you if you're doing good or whatnot. And it's sort of like a Civ-esque game where you have cities and you build up certain, like you
Okay.
need your food, you need your military production, you need your to build art, which you can like trade around to improve your morale or whatever. You have your different factions like the Tarth, who are the super military people who produce extra food because they need to eat extra food because they're fat and their armies are stronger. You've got the Chitchin or whatever, like the bug people who just reproduce at a super high rate. You've got like the technology people who have bad health. You've got the evil people who bad morale doesn't stop them from working, and they're like have like Darth Vader breathing apparatuses always, and it has a hilarious, like, just good dumb voice acting and stuff, and just it was fun. It was like the one of those Civ games that me and my friends got super into, specifically because it had hot seat,
Yeah.
whereas some of the other games we're playing, like, why doesn't this have hot seat? What's going on?
Where's the fucking hot seat mode?
They would only have like online multiplayer or something.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that's bullshit. I just want hot seat. And the other big game for us was Heroes of Might and Magic, specifically 2 and 3.
Okay.
So my first experience with Heroes of Might and Magic was with 1, and it was like I had a Mac at the time, so getting games was kind of tough. But I'd gotten this like pack of like a bunch of games, and it had like Command and Conquer and a bunch of garbage. But one of the games in there, I think my favorite game that was in there was Sim Tower. I had a lot of fun with Sim Tower. But so original Heroes of Might and Magic was in there, and I had never played a game like that, so I couldn't figure it out. And Heroes is kind of weird because it's like you've got a city, and you build your structures, and each one like builds you a specific type of unit, and then you have a hero character, and you can hire multiple heroes, but your hero is like manages that squad, and then they go out onto a map. You send them on a map. But I had never played a turn-based game like that where you ended your turn and then a new turn started. So I just was doing stuff, and then I expended all my money, and I didn't know how to I didn't know which button was the end turn button because none of the buttons were labeled, so I couldn't figure it out. I was just like, all right, I guess I'm quitting this game. I can't figure out what to do next.
Right on.
And it wasn't until I played I played like something like Deadlock, I think, or Civ maybe first, and then it had an end turn button. I was like, oh, that's the thing. Now I see. You have to end your turn, and then the next turn starts.
Oh, man.
Clever.
I get it. Turn-based strategy.
Like I say, I didn't think to press the hourglass button to go to the next thing. Didn't occur to me. I should have pressed all the buttons though. I don't know why I didn't do that.
Why didn't you just end the turn? End the what?
What? What do you mean?
Oh,
but good. Yeah, but that was some fun because you could set up where you just set up games where like you all were in it, and then there was some AI, and the AI would always be super scary. You'd be like, oh no, there's the computer. He's got way more shit than we do. Oh god. And we would never play those games to the point, like, we wouldn't really ever finish a game. So it sort of held some of its like magic. Like the computer stayed scary because we never beat it and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like if we had saved a campaign and really played through it and really learned the game, I think it would have lost some of its
for
some of
sure.
its power in terms of like it was mysterious, I would say. But those were some super fun times of like just trying to stay up as late as you could to keep this game going, because once it was over, you weren't gonna continue it. It wasn't gonna
Yeah.
happen. And just like what would like you're waiting between turns while your friend's doing something, and you're like messing with magic cards or whatever, but in between, just doing other stuff, hanging out, fun times.
Oh yeah. Is that is it my turn again?
Yeah,
Is that where we're okay?
yeah.
Gonna like I'm lumping two games together because it was like the same exact time, and you were there. That'd be Arma 3 and Payday 2.
Yeah.
Like those are my first ever like we're a fucking squad and we're gonna do squad things. Like we're gonna be a team, but we're gonna be a small team. And like it's two different things. Like Arma, we could have had like 30 fucking people cooperating, but that's stupid. That janky ass teams of like 3.5. Peter kept dying. He's dead. Mostly by Ty headshotting him from fucking across the map with a pistol, but they're just
things
good
happened.
Experiences. Like I don't know. I'd never encountered that before. Even in like Halo, like you could have teams of 2 or teams of 5, but it never, it's not the same. Like just straight up like shooting at someone else. Like Payday, you got your fucking mission. You got everyone's doing stuff. And then with Arma, just I don't know. It's not quite like survival, but just that same, I guess, kind of concept. Just trying to become the strongest, and then like, oh shit, you're dead. Try again.
Yeah, Armor has those playing a squad in Armor was like it has a you against the world kind of feel.
Yeah.
Where like
not
you still have your goal that you're trying to do as your team of like we're gonna get this money, and then we're gonna buy some shit.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna go kill these specific people, and then oh god, there are more people. Oh god.
Yeah. Do y'all hear a firefight in the distance?
Just you don't know what's gonna happen, and
yeah.
but you
And,
also
like,
have like specific goals. It's
yeah,
kinda
like we're gonna
good
buy a
middle
fucking
ground.
tank. And even when he bought a tank, it was like, well, some fucker has a Titan. So those were just. I don't
Or
know,
you get
that was a
bored and
nice-
shoot each other,
Yeah, you
Enemies
fucking
on all sides.
You get pissed at Ty for something. Finally, you shoot him in the leg.
Or you glitch through the floor and you shoot someone up through the floor. They can't see you.
One of the that is like one of my more specific moments that I think of a lot and still laugh about is when me and Ty were playing. And Ty get way more into it than like any of us, like full mods, all of his team, like tactical shit, like all that. He does not think it's a game. And I never got like super into any of the mods, but one of the ones that I got was like a radio one. So we would turn off like Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever we were using, and you just use in-game voice, or maybe it went through TeamSpeak or something. Basically, it made it sound like you were talking through like the radio. So like, and then like have the little weird effect on your voice. And I was like holding the button down and like eating chips like from the bag. And just
Like a monster. Got it.
Yeah, like the thought of what he's hearing on the other end of this, like just through the radio static, like he's like, "Are you eating chips through the fucking radio?" Like, yeah. I don't know, just like it's one of those moments, just a stupid dumb thing that like only Arma. Like we're in a or when Ty crashed the helicopter into a mountain because he was looking at the guardrails and how they were reflecting things. Just ridiculous nonsense that happened.
Good times.
Yeah, I actually did reinstall Payday 2. Just saying, might be a thing a little bit.
I still have it installed. Pretty sure.
That's probably like my, aside from Skyrim due to modding, that's probably my most like uninstalled slash reinstalled game. Like, man, this game is fucking ass. Uninstall. 2 weeks later, maybe not you. I don't think you ever said it, but like Paul or someone or Ty will be like, "Man, we should do Payday again." Like, yeah, okay, I'll install it. And then it never happens. Then I uninstall it again.
Yeah.
So
Now that I have extra hard drive space, I don't really uninstall multiplayer stuff if I think there's a chance. Just because it's such a pain.
Yeah, those nice squad games. The last one I'm talking about is Here's the Storm. So if you're talking about that as well, we can just. Like,
I feel like I need to talk some Dota, where it
Yeah,
started.
yeah.
So technically, Dota started with like on StarCraft custom games with this thing called Aeon of Strife. I think is the original. But my time with StarCraft custom games was pretty. I mostly did like no rush, like just playing that game was a bit more about like just I liked building shit. Mm-hmm. Like I had like what some of my most fun times with that game were playing the N64 version with my friend, and weirdly like you could only do 3-player games in that, which is hilarious. Okay. But we would do us two versus the computer, and we would just turtle. we would just build until we couldn't build anymore, and just try and live.
Yeah.
Like true heroes.
Yeah, that's how they always win in the end.
Yeah, you just hide behind a wall, and then eventually the enemy expunges all its resources, and you go over and knock them over.
Yeah.
But then Warcraft 3, the custom game stuff was better. Like the interface they gave you a list of games, which is such a good idea that they hadn't redone, that Dota 2 literally finally just fixed their custom games things by just copying that after trying different methods. Just a list of games that people are playing is actually the better way to do that. Because those are the games people are actually playing, rather than these are the popular things that people might play. Yeah. So I would just go in, and one of my favorite things was in playing that game. Even though I love the main story and stuff, that was fun too. But most of my fun was going in and playing random games, like whether it was tower defense, or my favorite was like castle defense, where you had a hero unit. And there were like 4 sides, and 2 people were to a side to guard from oncoming waves of enemies, and you would just try and live. But because it was just random custom games where someone was hosting, like someone would fuck up and then leave, and then the game would break because they would try to switch hosts and everyone would get kicked. So there was like that struggle.
Yep.
But so the biggest map from that stuff was Dota, and that it became its own thing of the hero units. You go on the map, you buy items to get more powerful through these 3 waves, and I was like, I messed with it a bunch. But then also like people started making all kinds of Dota games. Like I had like a whole collection of different weird Dotas I'd seen people play like once. Like they were I'd like seen this game once, and like there were a couple people playing and everyone had left, and then they never really got to play a full game of it.
I'm imagining like real janky setups.
Yeah, they're just like totally unbalanced heroes, like just weird stuff. Like some of them were like, I remember one that was just like a giant, like way too big map, and like all the you could like upgrade all the towers yourself, and there were too many lanes. You're just like, what is going on? I'm just like over here trying Just someone took the time to make this, but it didn't work out. So then the with the expansion pack Frozen Throne, eventually Dota All Stars got made, which kind of pulled from a couple different Dota things. Of like it was like the prince in principle was like we're taking the best heroes and we're making the game, like the All Stars of Dota, and that's
Yeah.
like the blueprint for what became Dota 2, and it had like it had its differences from what like regular Dota that kept getting upgraded for the original Warcraft 3 was. But so that was the thing of like I like this, it's like weird and hard and you're never actually playing a full game. Like you usually were hoping for get like from out of 5 people, you're hoping 3 people stuck around so everyone had a lane and you could get your gold without fighting for it.
Hell yeah.
Because it had all the quirks of Dota. Most of them come from that it was running the Warcraft 3 engine of getting gold from minions by killing them, which came from
Yeah.
the way you would creep farm to level your heroes up in Warcraft 3. And like I would so there were also nights where like I would play with my friends where like at that point we would all have like my friend would have like 3 computers in his house, like 1 laptop, 2 desktops, and we would all log in, join the same game of Dota, and just and try and win that way. We would be ringers basically. We'd be organized in a world of chaos.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, oh man.
But it's not like we were that good at the game or anything. So mixed results, I would
Yeah.
say. But yeah, super fun. And then, so when Dota 2 so then so I loved that game, and then PvP in WoW kind of filled the hole in my heart as that game got older and less people played it, and I just was kind of moving on to other stuff. But I was kind of kept keeping my eye out on different versions of Dota that were coming out as games. And like I remember when League came out as like a thing you would buy in a store for like $20 or something. But I was like, but it's not actually Dota. And I was like waiting for like so Dota 2 got announced. I was like super excited. And then I played that too early. It clearly wasn't like there yet. I was like, this isn't have the correct feel yet.
Yeah.
It's not there. And like a couple years later it comes out and it hits. But the thing that got me super interested though was during whatever there were legal battles over who really owned Dota, and like which part of it hinged on a forum post one of the owners of it had said, where like, oh, it's open source now, like anyone can do what they want before. And then he went on to like sell his idea to. So there's complicated stuff with the legal stuff with whether Valve had the rights to do it, whether or Blizzard did, because technically it was their game. And it came down with like, so Dota 2 is allowed to be called Dota. It's just Dota. Like originally Dota stood for Defense of the Ancients. That was the name of the map. But Dota 2 isn't Defense of the Ancients. It's not allowed to be called Defense of the Ancients. It's only Dota.
Yeah, it's just Dota.
Yeah, it's
like
just
the-
its own name. And they had to change a bunch of the character names too to not completely coincide
it's
with
like the FFA. We're
Yeah.
not the future farmers of America anymore. Well,
But
what
they
are
had-
you? We're the
yeah.
FFA.
But they had like the right to create a Dota game, whereas Blizzard only had the right to create a Dota mod technically. So the thing that was first announced that Blizzard was going to do is they were going to make Blizzard All Stars for StarCraft 2 as a StarCraft 2 custom game.
Okay.
And the StarCraft 2 custom games, they kind of fucked up how that works, and it never. I don't know. I never got into it, and it never seems like it took off in the same way that Warcraft 3's custom game stuff. It just was. It's its own thing. Like, people have done crazy stuff. Like, there was someone who tried to build an MMO in the fucking custom game space.
Jesus.
Like, people have done weird stuff, but it was. I never could wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
So eventually, what Blizzard, and Blizzard never made Blizzard All-Stars. It just never happened. So eventually what they announced was Heroes of the Storm.
Oh, we came full circle.
They changed the name, and it was going to be a standalone thing. And I guess because I think there are things in which they changed enough of the design that it did no longer conflicted with the copyright or whatever, the legal stuff. So that's what they made, and I played that super early, and I played like 2 games as Raynor, and it was like, this is too early. This is not ready yet.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I don't even remember what the impetus was to start. I got back into it when it became like a thing. It was definitely with the beta, but I don't remember the inciting incident at all. But that kind of just got into the beta. We had a lot of people were playing it in the community of Burning Barrel, and I had a super good time. But it wasn't really until it got released, and then like in its second year, then I got into it. Then I stopped because I got tired of it. And then I came back to it, and then it got better. Then it sort of, in year 2 of its release, it kind of became the game it is now, and became the constant addictive force in my life that it is now.
So I had tried League of Legends like a long ass time ago, when it like took the world by storm.
Yeah.
And admittedly, I probably never gave it a fair chance, but I don't care. Like, I got in, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing at all, even a little. I'm just like, yeah, it's not that it's not a good game. I just don't want to take the time to make it a good game for me. So I just dropped it.
My thing with League was looking at it by myself, it was like, this is going to take forever to unlock all these characters. There's I didn't like the talent tree thing that looked exactly like the World of Warcraft talent trees, where you had to like upgrade your account to unlock certain things, which felt like the Call of Duty type of progression, which I also just don't like, of this competitive multiplayer thing that you have to play a lot of to unlock stuff. Even though, whatever, I'm fine. For some reason, I'm fine with World of Warcraft, which is its own weird thing, but it's just because I inherently like the grind of that, so that there's this bonus multiplayer thing at the end of that, I'm cool with. It's when it's just this multiplayer thing and this grind that just like, I'm less. It's again, it's like upfronting your explanation stuff. It's like you're presenting me with too much off the gate. And it just didn't click the way Dota 2, all the heroes were free. That was like a big thing with that one for me. Why that one grabbed me at the time, whereas Blizzard had it's Blizzard, so I forgave some stuff.
And then I tried Dota 2 real briefly, and also just like gave it a bit more of a chance, but not much, and just still like, maybe this genre is just not for me. That's a thing, like whatever.
Yeah. No,
Then,
when I super got into Dota 2, it was with the idea, I'm going to play this game for 100 hours, and at the end of 100 hours, I'll have kind of a grasp on it. That was my approach to specifically Dota 2, is having played all these Dota games and like knowing how complicated and hard it is. It's like, I'm just going to play a shit ton of this game, and at that point, I'll probably have an okay grasp.
Yeah. But hanging out at a Magic, like probably pre-release or some bullshit, and like me and Crump are there, friend Mike is there, and we're talking. And at one point, he's like, "You guys ever heard of Heroes of the Storm?" Like, Not even a little. Like, no clue. He's like, so, it's a MOBA. I probably immediately, I was like, yeah, I'm out. Like, I don't care. He's like, no. Like, that's what I said, too. I'm like, yeah, I've tried League, like, real briefly. I tried Dota 2 real briefly. Just from the get-go did not seem like something I wanted to do. And he's like, no. Like, same exact thing. But this one's good. It's Blizzard. It's good. And I'm like, yeah, you're a pretty good friend. Yeah, I'll try it. And here I am. Like, and I suppose for me, in the way that it's influential is it's probably the first game since Halo 3 where I want to be good at it. Like, I want to be good at it. Like, not when I say competitive level, like, I don't want to fucking win tournaments. I don't care.
Yeah.
But, like, if I remember when you hit Diamond and we, like, talked about that a little bit, and you said, like, yeah, I just, like, played HOTS all the time. Like, just constantly. I kind of feel that way. Like, I just want to, like, play heroes. I want to play heroes with people. I want to talk about heroes.
Yeah.
I just want to play a shitload of HOTS.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and for me, with all these online games like that, my impetus for being good is I want to be able to jump in and, like, do well and, like, be able to win. Like, that was always my approach to fighting games online, is I want to be able to hop into a random match and feel like I have a chance to win.
Yeah.
That's, like, because that's a good feeling, because that's fun. And when you play those games and you're not there, it's like, it's a different thing, because you have to, like, I'm just trying to learn while I'm getting my face kicked in. It's a different thing. But, like, there's that hump, basically.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a redemption for me, honestly, because I tried playing Halo 3 competitive. You might recall that I also had slightly above dial-up internet. Uh-huh. So there were a lot of, like, kicked/dropped games. You don't come back from that. It got to a point where literally just to, like, get a pseudo rank, like, you know, one of the divisions instead of the full tier or whatever, like, I would win like 15 games in a row and just nothing. And I'm like, just how many games I had dropped, it dropped me so low. I could never catch up. Even though, like, my skill was there. Like, I would play and it would be like, skill is definitely there. Like, I'd be checking people's profiles. I'm like, oh shit, this guy is like max level. I'm still doing okay.
Uh-huh.
But then my internet would crash and like all the skill in the world would out. So
it all falls apart.
So now I have the internet, I have the drive. Not necessarily the time, but
yeah.
When does that ever stop me?
All the times you don't have time to play. That's when it's stopping you.
It definitely does stop me at those points, yeah. I mean, I apparently just wanted that way worse than I wanted the podcast tonight, so.
I mean, yeah, it's true. You did. At
really
podcast time, you did say, I'm playing HOTS, if you want in.
Like, I have been set, apparently, just really wanting to play HOTS all day. It happens.
I might have played my fair share of HOTS.
Yeah.
I may have played too much HOTS. I don't know.
Oh,
so,
no
and the thing that I like about MOBAs as a game to keep playing is I kind of always feel like I'm learning. Getting, like, there's always more stuff to, like, improve on and, like, learn and get better. And the learning ceiling was certainly felt higher in Dota. There's, like, more stuff, but there's stuff about the feel of HOTS that I've gotten used to that I prefer, and the quickness of the games is a huge thing.
Oh yeah,
like 20-minute games are way better than hour games that are bad. Like the lows of Dota are much lower. The highs can be higher, but the lows are certainly lower, and the lows are like what stop you from wanting to go back, I would say.
Yep.
So that the lows are just not that bad in HOTS. it lets me keep going with it. Also, the frequency with which they patch that game and make a change
it's fresh
is huge.
quite often.
Nothing. If something's broken, it's never broken for too long. Look, they nerfed her. I mean, they had to keep nerfing her.
It wasn't too long. She was broken, and it wasn't too long.
Yeah, it's just long enough to enjoy.
Yeah,
just long enough to enjoy.
I also came in on Garrosh when they changed him completely, but it's still fine. Like,
yeah,
I don't think they've ruined anything.
No, they've been good about making broken heroes that are fun and then finding ways to bring them back down to earth, but keeping them fun. And they're just kind of weird about what they do. This brawls are inconsistent, whether they're fun or not.
Yep.
I'll certainly say.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They certainly leave me wanting pretty often. Because what I really want is like to get back to that feeling I got from like Warcraft 3 custom games. And Dota 2 is tried, but it hasn't. I should mess with it again because I haven't really done it since they updated it and theoretically fixed a lot of stuff. Like they got dedicated servers for their custom games. But also there was a Warcraft 3 PTR patch the other week, like a month.
Yeah, I remember.
And I played in a. They introduced the ability to play 24-player custom maps. So I played on, like, someone had thrown together an early map, and you could tell it was early because 2 people spawned on top of each other. It was great.
Yeah.
Also, Grubby was in the game, who's a professional streamer and Warcraft 3 pro player. And just everyone on his team fed him money, including me. So he just kind of walked out. Also, it was a 10v13v1 because people are stupid and can't, when you give them the ability to choose their team, even when someone says, let's make 2 teams.
Someone is going to do it.
They're not good, and someone's going to get bored and just start the game because, well, fuck it.
Yeah. That's weird.
That happened. But it was a fun time. I'm looking forward to that game being back on being on the Blizzard launcher and being a thing people play regularly. Because I like StarCraft, but StarCraft's custom maps are not as fun. They're a little too jank in certain ways. Like there's a whole thing with StarCraft custom maps of like turning off the lights so that you can stack buildings. Because if you place a building where another building is while the lights are off, meaning the whole map is black, you can stack them. But then you have to turn the light back on so you can see.
Sounds like a feature.
It's just like these maps, these custom maps are built around these fucking jank designs. It's just like, great, come on. It's a little too much. It's a little too much to go back to raw, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But
those sound like the games that influenced us.
There are some others, like Counter-Strike that I didn't mention, but
it's already been like 2 hours.
Yeah, this podcast is already double length, so I think it's a good place to call it.
Yeah. Well, we got our, what do we have? Books, movies,
TV,
right?
And
probably going to be
probably music, maybe also.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, music is probably a good one.
Yeah, but so this will be those will come at some point. We will
eventually
fit them into our theoretical rotation.
But for now,
get smoked, noobs.
Oh shit, got him.
And you can email us at saltcirclepodcast@gmail.com. You can watch us at soundcloud.com/saltcircle. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music as Salt Circle Podcast. And we're on Twitter at SaltCirclePod. And I'm on Twitter at Comic Panels.
I'm on Twitter at bean_LP. Also, we've done a couple movie episodes, so technically they can kind of watch. Are we ending on that? Are we ending on that?